the upper mantle will become a liquid. But when it does, then there's nothing holding the surface, the crust of the Earth to the Earth. Now, the tectonic plates are constantly moving, and over 13,000 years they change position slightly. And another big factor is the ice at the South Pole develops off-center. This is a huge piece of ice, 2 miles high or more, and it's off-center. Well, if suddenly all of those factors happen, then this ice would move in, the whole thing would come back into balance. It would choose a new balance, and that would cause the poles to come into a new location on Earth.
Now, while this was going on, what happens to buildings? What happens to all of us?
Well, the last time this took place, there was no civilization except if you agree with Atlantis and places like that.
Yeah.
But there was very few human beings on Earth, and so we don't really know, right? But if this kind of thing were to happen right now, I don't think there would be very many buildings left on Earth.
And this would be almost instant.
What science knows is it takes 20 hours.
That's pretty fast.
You wake up one morning, and at the end of that day, you're now in a new location relative to the equator.
Do you feel the movement? You must.
I don't know. I was never there. You got it. It just must feel like you're just one continuous earthquake.
Like a huge slide.
Yeah. It must be an amazing experience, and especially since it's all tied into these magnetics, which are tied to our consciousness.
Let's talk about the Mayans, because this has a lot to do with this. You have been working with them for at least, 25 years?
Yeah, more. In fact, just this afternoon, I sat for a 2-hour meeting with Huns Batzman, who's the head of the Grand Itza Mayan Council in Mexico.
What are they saying about this ominous date? And is it fair to call it an ominous date?
Well, they have two. The idea is that the Earth has, that humanity has developed around the Mayan prophecy and who the Mayans are. They say it's just completely wrong. In fact, they say that according to Don Alejandro Cerrillo, they haven't said one single word themselves for 523 years, I think it is, over 500 years. And that they're about to speak out. They're about to make a true prophecy, and the reason they're about to do it is not to just for an ego point of view or anything, but they feel a responsibility. They say they were here 13,000 years ago, and they remember what happened. And they say they were also here 26,000 years ago, exactly where we are right now. And there was another pole shift. Science knows this. Exactly at this moment. And so they say they've been through two of these things, and they feel a responsibility to the rest of the world to let them know what's about to happen.
Well, and they obviously have learned how to survive it.
They say we will survive, but there are certain things that they suggest we do. And this has to do with inner levels of consciousness. They say there's really not much you can do externally. It doesn't do any good to dig a hole and put a lot of food and guns in it.
Not going to work, is it?
That doesn't do anything. It has to do with a relationship, according to them, with the human heart. That we have to be centered in our hearts rather than our brains, and that we have to have a connection to the heart of the earth. This all sounds like airy-fairy stuff.
I was going to say, how does this connection save us when the entire planet is shifting around?
Well, what they say is that the earth is a living being, and she is conscious of every single thing on her surface.
You know, I believe that too.
Well, that's what I
believe that. It took me a while to get to that.
But they definitely believe it. They're not the only ones. Just practically every indigenous tribe on Earth believes this. And they say that if you are in your heart and you are connected to the heart of the earth, that you will not die. That you will just be in the right place at the right time, and you will survive this.
May not be an easy life, but you'll be okay.
Here's the other side of it. It isn't just a pole shift, and this is what the Mayans, and I'm not going to go into this in great depth because they've instructed me to let them say this.
You know what they're going to say, don't you?
Well, I know pretty well what they're going to say, but there's a positive side and a negative side to the Mayan prophecy. And the world has focused on the negative
on the
side.
negative side, sure.
And there's a movie about to come out, Doomsday 2012.
Yeah, that's coming out.
It's going to be probably horrible disaster.
Oh, I've seen the trailer.
Oh, I haven't
Yikes.
seen it, so I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. It is.
And they're shocked at this. They're absolutely shocked because they say, well, that's part of it. But and this coincides with the Egyptians, and it coincides with the Tibetans and the Indians, and that is that when we go through this cycle at this point, yes, there's a lot of destruction. The old cycles are destroyed, but there's a brand new birth. There's a new humanity is born, and this new humanity has new traits, new abilities that make it so that they are able to not only survive this, but are able to live in a brand new way that right now we can't imagine.
A half hour before you came on, Drunvalo, I got an email from one of our listeners who said, thank God you're having Melchizedek on so we can talk about something enlightening and upbeat and hopeful. And I'm saying, well, we got to get through the doomsday part of this first, though.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it is there, but for all of them, there's tribes. I spent a lot of time with different tribes. I've everywhere from South Africa to the Zulu tribe, with Credo Mutwa, to the Waitaha and the Maori and the Kogis and the Awakos, and it goes on and on all over. And they don't agree with each other on every little detail, but the big idea, the understanding of the big picture, they do. They realize that this is a time of extraordinary human development, of change. From their point of view, this is a time to celebrate, to be excited about, that humanity is about to move into a new level of consciousness. And they said you don't have to really do anything. It's really easy. It's really simple. Just be in your heart and stay connected to the heart of the earth, and that's it.
Have you looked at some of the Hopi prophecy?
Yes, I have, and
What do you think?
Well, their prophecy is a little different. First of all, you may not know this, but the Hopi are Mayan.
I do not know that. No,
and they have told me this, both the Hopi and the Mayan. I went down there with I don't want to say their names because they don't like it too much, but I was one of the historians for the Hopi tribe. Went to Guatemala to be with the Guatemalan Mayans. These are these are considered the leaders of the 440 Mayan tribes. And when we were down there and speaking with them in council, that's what was revealed there, is that the Mayans told the Hopi to leave and go to the Four Corners area because they knew at that time that at this moment where we are right now, that there is a special relationship with this area here in the Four Corners area for this time. And I don't know what that is because they wouldn't tell me. But they did say that the Hopi were Mayan and went up there, and the Hopi elder that was with me admitted, said, yes, we are Hopi and we know that.
The Hopi prophecy is pretty doom and gloom.
Yeah, but you haven't heard the second part of it.
No.
That they've only released the first part, and that's pretty much what you've heard from the Mayans too. The second part, I'll just give you a little bit about this, is that once we get to the other side, we enter into the new reality in the fourth dimension, not in the third. And in the fourth dimension, we become creators. Whatever we think and feel happens. This is what it's a whole new ballgame. And in fact, this is what throws people out of it, because if you go into that state in fear, that's what you create, and it destroys you. It throws you back out. But so the only people that do survive this, if the fourth dimension does enter into this way they say, is those that are in their heart and are connected with the heart of the earth and are loving people, and they will create loving worlds. But then they say that once we enter into that level of consciousness, that once we get to the place where we are actually creating everything as we go, this is when the ETs make their entryway to us, because then we're entering into the same level that they're on.
All right, I want to talk with you about that when we come back in just a moment. Our special guest tonight on Coast to Coast AM, Drunvalo Melchizedek. He's the author of Serpent of the Light, Serpent of Light Beyond 2012. We'll be back.